Good evening. My name is Mildred, and this is Your Mental Health Matters, sponsored by Our Neutral Voices. And tonight on set with us is Miss Akira and Miss Jill from In the Know, Tuesday night show of Neutral Voices. Thank you for joining us tonight. How are you ladies doing?
Good.
I'm good.
Lovely.
Good. So tonight is Candy Conversation. This is part 3 of our young adults, and Akira is a young adult. Young adults and their mental health. So let's talk about it. So Akira is a young adult. She works for the Boys and Girls Club. She is the third daughter of her mother and the first child of her father. We're going to play a little TikTok that Akira created so you guys kind of get a snippet of who Akira is. So let's watch. Okay, so we're having a little technical difficulties. Akira, can you give our viewers your TikTok, what do they call it? Tag name? Is that what it's called?
Sure.
Your Instagram slash.
We don't know. We're old.
There's a reason, we're going to get to it. And there's a reason why I want her to share what her tag, because we really want you to understand her story tonight. So can you share what your tag is?
My tag for TikTok and Instagram is Issa_Akira. So ISSA_AKYRA.
Okay. So it's the same for TikTok and Instagram. So
yes.
it'll be very easy for you to find her. She's also on Facebook. So a little bit about Akira. Akira is a Southside graduate. She is a Georgia peach. She was born in Georgia, in the state of Georgia. Like I said, she is the firstborn of her father, third of her mother. She attended Huntington University. And the reason why we're here today is there's some issues that, a story that Akira has pertaining to suicide, and that was the TikTok that we wanted to show you. It kind of encompassed a time in her life where she struggled. Can I say that? And we're being transparent here tonight, and I feel comfortable enough talking about it, and because she's here tonight, right? So if she's here tonight, that means that she's willing and able to talk about it to help someone else who may be dealing with the same issues, right? Because that's something that was really hard when you were going through. So can you tell us a little bit about your Huntington experience and the mental things that you dealt with as in that time period?
So while I was in college, okay, let me start with this. When I was in college, I tried to commit suicide twice. Okay, so and you'd think it was because like college was hard and it was too much, but college was like the least of my worries. I had such good grades. I was in every film, every musical. I was producing shows, so it wasn't that. It was the two main factors were my health and my relationship with Jesus. And so I have a great relationship with Jesus now, but in college, I felt like I had no purpose. Like, although I was performing and filming and directing and producing and doing photography and dance and all these great things that he's allowed me to do, I felt like I was useless to the kingdom of God. And that literally like drained me and made me feel nothing. And they say it's better to feel sad because you're feeling something rather than to feel nothing. But at some point I felt nothing. And then I have endometriosis, which makes it hard to live like literally every single day. And since then, I've gotten better and gotten the correct treatment and medications and things like that. But my health played a big role because being so active, it made me inactive, which made me always lay in bed, not go to class, and like literally be bedridden all the time.
So when you say your health, you mean just your physical health, your mental health, or just your health in general?
All of the above, but the physical affected both my spiritual and my mental health because it was such a toll on me.
So I just have something, Akira. First of all, thank you for sharing anything that you're going to share with us. That's a big deal, and that's very special. Courageous of you. So I noticed when you were telling your story, you said a couple things that I just want to touch on. You had said that your grades were great. You were in doing a lot with music. You had a lot of friends. I remember you would post pictures. You were very well liked. You were popular. Those are things that people saw on the outside. Then you said you struggled with health and your relationship with Jesus. Those are things that people do not see. Nobody saw the struggles with your health. Nobody knew your relationship with Jesus. So I bring this up to say very recently, Twitch, the suicide, I've saw a lot of people say, well, that's ridiculous. He had everything. He had a beautiful wife. He had a great career, because that is what we see. We don't see the health issues. We don't see the relationship with Jesus. So that's something that you brought up, and I'm glad that you did, because somebody could have everything on the outside, but we don't know what's going on in their hearts or their minds. And those are usually the things that cause somebody to get to that point.
Yes. And as she was saying, all the things that she was involved in, right? It brings us back to, she's a young adult, all the responsibilities that were on her, to perform in the different areas. What were some of the signs and symptoms that you experienced when you dealt with that suicidal thoughts? Because that had to come with some kind of signs, some symptoms. What were you experiencing?
Well, first, okay, sometimes I'm shy, but when I'm around the right people, I'm very, outgoing and loud, and I'm the funny friend. I'm the funniest one. Anyone will tell you. So I'm just so funny. And so when I started to think about, people would tell me they enjoyed my company, right? I loved being that friend, being there for everyone, being the entertainment. It made me happy. And so when I started to think of myself as, girl, you're overdoing it, or you're an overachiever, no, you're not. So me just thinking that, dang, I'm doing the most right now, but I'm really not. Or, isolating myself, because my friends would call me the glue. So if I wasn't there, then no one's coming. No one's attending that retreat, that event. No one's going if Akira's not going. So when I stopped going to things, I knew, girl, you need to get it together. Something's wrong with you.
But sometimes that's also a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure being the glue, because it's hard to have a bad day when you're the glue. It's hard to have a me day, a mental health day, because like you just said, if you don't go, nobody's going. So that's also a lot of pressure on a person, especially somebody that's involved in all of these things. And I know for me, a lot of us stay busy so we don't have to deal with what's going on with our health or what's going on with our mental. A lot of us have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, but we show up with makeup on, we show up with curls in our hair, because we overcompensate on the outside so we can forget what's going on in the inside.
It reminds me of that saying my sister Casey says, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to, dress up so we can look in the mirror and be like, you got to get through this day, basically. So I want to address our viewers tonight. We have some information up for suicide prevention. We have a phone number. someone in your circle, outside of your circle, because we want you to know that we see you.
Can I want to piggyback off of that because, and I have a question for Akira that may be a little deep, but I think it's important, and I did get her permission before the show. I asked her if I could ask a deep question because I think this will help anyone who is, dealing with some things. So Mildred mentioned the suicide prevention hotline, which is an amazing resource. But all too often, we post that for people to see, but we're the same people who aren't available when our friends reach out to us. We are the same people who are up in arms about a celebrity suicide, but we didn't pick up the phone when one of our best friends called us. So I think it's very important to know that just posting a suicide prevention hotline number is great, but there's so much more that we need to do as a society. And we are not responsible for the actions of others, but we can contribute to try to assist in their healing. So I have a question for you. When you were at your very lowest, right before, let's just be honest, right before you attempted suicide, what were you feeling? Like, what did you want people to say? What did you want? Like, I know that you were probably begging, like, what was it that you needed at that moment that you were not getting? Did you have support from your friends? Did you have support from your church? All of these things that you dedicated your entire life to, did they come to you when you were suffering at your lowest? And if they didn't, what did you need from them?
I'm so glad you asked me that, okay? Because I've been dying. No pun, sorry. To talk about that. Okay, so first, there's two, major instances. So the two that I was talking about, the first time was in March of 2021, and I was going to this church, and I was very active in the church before I left for college. I was singing and doing all the social media and marketing, and I was close-knit with this church family. Then I went to college, and they literally just left me in the dust. And so I had to make my own place. And I was just talking about this the other day. Like I was saying, I felt numb. So I literally felt nothing, because I felt useless to God, and I felt like I couldn't contribute to the kingdom of God. And so I called everyone from my church. I called my pastor, I called my youth pastor, I called my worship leader, and none of them answered. None of them answered the phone. And this was over a 2-week period before I even attempted, not even just right before. It was weeks prior. And one of my friends from high school had passed away in a triple shooting. So he had passed away, and I was grieving him, and so I was telling people, when I came back for their wake and everything, dang, should I leave too? Someone took their life, so should I go too? So I was grieving that, and I was telling people, and no one answered, and then I had overdosed and went to the hospital. And now my phone's blowing up. Why didn't you call us? Why didn't you tell me? It shouldn't have never got to that point. But I'm I literally called you. I literally have messages saying I'm going to take my life. I'm at this point. And everybody just wants to answer when I'm already past that point. I could have been dead by now. You know what I mean? And in November, luckily I had made a best friend. Her name's Cassandra. Love her so much. She could see Akira, you're distancing yourself. That night in November, I literally went to 3 concerts, my best friend's concerts, because I know they needed me, and I had to be there for them, even though I knew that I was going to commit that night. Yeah. Right? So I wanted to be there and show up for them, and so she actually admitted me that time because she'd rather me be in a safe place than to leave. And to add that to Twitch's passing, the same people I called before I attempted are boasting and posting about, call this line, and OMG, this celebrity died, I can't believe it, I'm in mourning. But I'm
a stranger.
What about me? When I called you, you didn't even know him. He's dancing for the internet. And I'm right here singing on the praise team with you, and you didn't even answer my phone call. You know what I mean? So I'm hurt about that, and people are offended by that because I've gotten a response of, oh, Twitch was a human too. He's a person too. But what about the person you could save right next to you? You know what I mean? Like, he's already gone. And so, yeah, that's the big thing. So I'm glad that you asked me.
And I think a lot of people don't know, what to do. And I was one of those people. I watched someone that I loved for a very long time. It wasn't a matter of if he was going to try to end his life. It was a matter of when. And I feel like I did everything that I possibly could have done. But after he passed, I felt like I didn't do enough, and I feel like I've always wanted to ask him, and when I pray and I do say, what did you want me to do? What could I have done for you? What did you need from me? And I know that we can't save people, but we also can't just turn the other cheek.
Whew. So what is it exactly that you were looking for from them? Just to answer? Did you need something tangible, or you just wanted someone to respond?
Oh, that's a good question. I wanted a response, especially, here's my thing. If you tell me you're going to do something, I'm going to hold you to that word. So since they said, I'm going to be here for you, I'm going to show up, I'm expecting that from you because that's what you told me. If they would have said, oh yeah, girl, I'm just let you live your life in college, you do you, then I'd be like, okay, I'm not expecting nothing from you because you didn't promise that to me.
There were expectations.
Right.
So there was a relationship that formed, and there was boundaries and expectations from both parties, and they didn't meet their expectations.
Right. And I think on the other side of that, it's important to say that sometimes we don't tell anyone. Sometimes there aren't signs. I was talking earlier about having this perfect life on the outside. I remember years ago, I knew that something was wrong, but I just kept working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Everything is perfect. Hair looks nice. Everything's good. Lots of friends. And inside, I had canceled 4 doctor's appointments to go see about depression and anxiety because I just couldn't show up. And if I can't show up for myself, how did I expect the people around me to show up for me when I was pretending that everything was perfect? And I kept canceling these appointments because I was embarrassed to even walk through the door. Because if somebody saw me, there's Jill. There's Jill from Neutral Voices. There's Jill who runs a staffing agency. There's Jill who's supposed to have it all together. And here she is at Park Center. So on the complete other side of that, sometimes we don't tell anyone. We don't give off the signs. We go through the motions throughout the day, and we make sure that we look pretty and we smile and we show up, and on weekends we can't even get out of bed.
That is so true.
Can I say something?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's talk about the aftermath really quick, because I know we're talking about the beforehand and how to prevent this, but let's talk about the embarrassment of the aftermath of your attempt not working and waking up from an overdose and saying, dang, now I gotta go to class tomorrow.
I'm still here.
They saw me get dragged out by the firefighters. Now I gotta go back to my dorm room. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that embarrassment of, like I said, being the funny friend, being at all the events, and now this is what you're known for. And now you could get kicked out of college, and now you have to move to a whole different building and change your life around because it didn't work, and now you just have to continue life. Or that my attempts were a year ago, thank you, Jesus. But, like, you don't think I still think about that? Like, it was just a, oop, two and done.
Yeah.
Like, no one checks on the aftermath, and nobody talks about the embarrassment of, okay, this didn't work, or having a relationship with Christ, or being a mentor like I am, and saying, girls, like, you can come to me, I'm a phone call away, I promise, and being that leader and feeling like a hypocrite. And that's what I felt like when I was in college, because I wanted to lead my floor and teach them about Jesus and how he saved me and redeemed me and kept me and stuff. But then I felt like, girl, you literally just tried to die
Right.
yesterday, like 2 days ago, 2 months ago. So how are you? Who are you to tell them to know Jesus for themselves and to stay alive? And so that's the thing I dealt with, was like feeling like a big hypocrite.
Exactly.
But I've discovered and learned that Jesus uses everyone. And I know I'm still being used today because I see the fruits of my labor. Amen. But yeah, nobody talks about the aftermath. So
I'm so glad that you are opening up, and I know I get a little emotional. If you don't know, Akira is my daughter. So when she went through all this, you know, we talk about what she went through, but then you don't talk about the whole family, you know. Excuse me, because there are certain things that as a young adult, you know, you're out on your own. You're expected to be an adult, right?
Right.
Even though you're a young adult, you're 18. Let's say you're just 18. You're just entering college, but you're expected to do certain things,
Right.
not call home when you need something. You know, those were the things that I dealt with. The anger I felt because she would have rather call someone else when I would have answered the call.
Right.
But I love her anyway, and I'm so proud that what she's overcome thus far and where God is going to take her. I want to talk about the Live movement as we talk about suicide. This is from Arising Tees for Teens. A friend of mine, Joshua Rod. Movement. But if you are in need, if you know a young adult, a teenager, because this doesn't not only affect adults and young adults, but I know for a fact that Akira's been struggling for before she went to college, as a teenager, as a middle schooler, as elementary school, getting bullied. I remember that so clearly. So you never know what age this is going to attack. So text IN to 741-741 to connect with a real live human. No judgment, just listening. So this Joshua's right here in Fort Wayne. The Live movement is here in Fort Wayne. It's Arising Apparel is the name of the company. It's Live Tees for Teens. It's a nonprofit group. They became a nonprofit group after this movement, young lady. About the stigma of mental health. And for me, I'm 48 going on 49, but my mother died at 49 of mental illness.
Right.
And that you couldn't talk about that, especially because you went to church, right? And I know that our time is winding down, but I wanted to ask Akira how she felt about talking about suicide. And I know on your page, I'm going to say it, on your page you talk about the addictions that you've dealt with. because of your mental health and the depression, anxiety that you've experienced, how does that affect you as a young adult Christian? What's the stigma, and are you getting backlash from other Christians? What is that like?
About the addiction part?
Correct.
Oh no backlash. Not from Christians. So my social media platform is about my struggle with pornography and masturbation and suicide and stuff that nobody talks about in the church because it's embarrassing or inappropriate. That's weird because people are human. And so one of my TikToks actually blew up, and I was really embarrassed to post it because it's deemed as embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
And so my mentor always told me, like, your testimony is going to help people. Like, it's going to help thousands of people. And I was just like, no, I'm not telling nobody that. That's
Right.
embarrassing. They don't need to know what I do at night. 600,000
All right,
views.
okay.
And so, not to boast, but the comments are people like praising and worshiping Jesus with me, and even saying like, girl, this is my sign. Like, I was just on the app and this is my sign. So stuff like that, and it's helped heal me, and it's helped my process, and it has helped me keep myself accountable. And this goes back to my mentor, which I wanted to touch on, so it all connects.
Who's your mentor?
My mentor is Reggie Blackman. I mention him in everything I do, every paper from high school to college. Everything I say is Reggie Blackman because
And he's local also.
he is, and he works for Youth for Christ. And so he has helped me, and I wouldn't be where I am today without Reggie Blackman or Cliff Latham too. But Reggie has helped me, and this is what I wanted to say about being a mentor. If you say things, mean it. Like, where's the camera? Who am I looking at? Because, hey, if you're a mentor and you say, I'm a phone call away, be that phone call away. You have to be that, because if someone calls you and says, yeah, I'm gonna off myself, I just cut off all my friends, it's time for me to go, you need to answer the phone. If you say you're a text away, be there. Be who you were called to be. If you feel like God led you to that, and now you have these girls or these boys or anybody that you're leading, you need to lead. You need to do that, because it can be dangerous if you don't, especially if you tell God no. So just think about that.
That's good. That was really good. Again, I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
So proud of you.
Yes, we are all proud of you. We've watched you through this journey, and to have you sitting here telling your story is beautiful, and we love you.
That means a lot.
I
Love
get
you back.
emotional because Akira shouldn't even be here. She was a preemie, and to see the move of God in your life now is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I just want to thank you both ladies for sitting with us, for joining me tonight as we talked about young adults and their mental health. Again, if you're watching us and you enjoyed what you've heard, please continue to like, share, and subscribe to our page, Neutral Voices Network, on Facebook, on YouTube, actually on all social media platforms, from Pinterest to TikTok. So we are hitting all the platforms for you to engage with us. So I wanted, as usual, just read a quote that I found online. Self-care is how you take your power back. We rise by lifting others. And as always, before we leave, always protect your mind.